All right, I'm waiting to see who's going to come in. All right, there's Yaya. Yep, there's Maya. Okay, Maya. Hey, how you doing? All right. We're going to wait a little while and see if anybody else is going to come in and join us on this live that I'm doing on college scholarships. All right, all right. Oh, AC, thanks for coming in, AC. Ready to learn. All right. Joseph, all right. Joseph is in the house. Yeah. All right. Okay, here we go. Wow. I'm excited. Here we go. All right. So let's see if anybody else is going to be able to come in with us. And then we're going to get started. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and let's get started. First of all, I wanted to introduce myself. I am Dr. Yvette Kennedy, and my previous YouTube videos have been on teaching people how to go into the medical field. But a few years ago, I decided to change course and help educate people on how to get into college and resources that are used for um, resources that you can use to help improve your college application, and also on working with the younger children to help them to love learning so that they would be prepared when they get to that point. So that's a little bit about me. Another thing is that I wanted to share some things on the PSAT because when you're in school, many times your counselors will tell you, "Oh, the SAT doesn't matter. It is just a practice test," and it does not matter when you're trying to be admitted to a college, but it does matter when you want to try to get a scholarship. Okay, so it's very, very, very important. And what the PSAT stands for is the preliminary SAT. So when people take this, they figure out kind of where they stand with taking the SAT. And again, it does not have any indication on your college admissions. Okay, now there's a second part to the PSAT though. So it's actually called the PSAT NMSQT. And what that is the PSAT, preliminary SAT slash um, the National Merit Scholar Qualifying Test. And that's what that NMSQT stands for. So by taking and scoring high enough on the PSAT, then that makes you qualify for the National Merit Scholarship. Okay, so what is the National Merit Scholarship? The National Merit Scholarship is a scholarship that will sometimes pay for your full ride in college, and at other times it'll pay for the tuition to be paid at your school. So with that being said, it's pretty important that you can take this test seriously and score high on it. So there are a couple of ways that I want to tell you that you can do that. Um, I was at an event on Friday, and I was talking to a young girl who was a rising junior, okay, going to the 11th grade. And she knew about the PSAT. She says, "Oh, yeah, that's that practice test." I said, "Yes, it is." I said, "But you can get scholarships if you score high enough." She was a very smart little girl, young lady. And so, anyway, she wanted to know more. So I told her, I said, well, I don't have time. I can't tell you right now, but I will do this video to tell you a little bit more about it. So that's why I'm doing this live right now, so that she can learn a little bit more, and so that others can learn more about the PSAT. And that's mainly because most counselors will tell you it does not matter, when indeed it does matter if you want to get a free ride to college. Okay? So I told you that it counts towards scholarships. Okay? There are about 22 colleges that will give you a full ride and extra stipends if you are a National Merit Scholar. Okay? And you can find these colleges on, just go to and Google National Merit Scholarship Schools, okay, or full rides. Put those in and you can Google it, and it can give you all of those schools. So, first thing is that there are at least 22 that will give you a full ride, and then there are numerous others that will pay the tuition only. So it's very, very good for you to do this. Now, with the National Merit Scholar, you don't have to be black, you don't have to be white, you don't have to be Hispanic, you don't have to be anything except for smart. Okay? And in some cases, you don't have to be the smartest person in the world, because the PSAT only teaches through 8th grade math. So if you're really good with your math and you're really good with your English, then you can score highly. So you say, well, how can I score highly? How can I score in that high percentage? Well, I'm so glad you asked, because there are books, study guides that you can get that will help you to learn how to take the test. And so many times it's not necessarily how smart we are, but it's knowing how to take the test. And with that being the case, there are study guides that help you tremendously on how to analyze the questions, and just little tips on how to get through it fast and get the right answers. So, the study guide that I have used with my children in the past was the Princeton Review, and it's the Princeton Review for the PSAT. These books are not real expensive. You can get them for like $18 to $20. And they are really good because what they do is they give you tips on how to take the test. They give you 2 practice tests, and they give you shortcuts that you can take, and they teach you how to interpret the questions. And then after you've taken the practice test, then it will give you the analytics for the answers to those questions, or how they got those answers. So, with that being the case, I strongly suggest that you get that Princeton Review. And of course, it's not the only one, it's just the one that I have had experience with. And I did have a child who was a National Merit Scholar. So, I'm talking from experience, and this book was good for her. Now, there is another one that is called Barton. I don't know much about it, but you can look at the two and see which one you like the best. Now, in addition to studying with those books, if you are able to, or if your parents are able to, you can also get into one of the PSAT prep courses. And many times they will go through the book, but it'll be like in a classroom setting. So some people may learn better that way. So my thing is, whatever you do something so that you will have that extra edge. Because if you don't go through the book, you probably will miss a lot of questions that you could have gotten. And if you don't go through the book, you'll probably miss some questions that other people who did go through the study guide got. Okay? So, when do you take this PSAT? You take the PSAT in the 11th grade or your third year of high school or as a junior, okay? You can take it in the 10th grade, but in the 10th grade, it doesn't count towards the National Merit Scholarship, okay? It's only in the 11th grade. So write that down, in the 11th grade. So it's not too early to start. If you're a sophomore or even if you're a freshman, it's not too early to start taking these practice tests and maybe even taking a real SAT test, because what that does is it just makes you more comfortable. It makes you more comfortable with taking the test. You'll be at ease and you will just, it'll be second nature to you. Okay. Um, so, when is this test administered? I already told you it's in your 11th grade year when it counts, okay? Now, this test occurs in your school between October 1st and October 31st. They do have one Saturday testing day, but you have to ask your counselors and your principal exactly when that will be, so that because each school may schedule it on a different day, but it has to be within that October time frame. Okay, there are dates for people who cannot do it during the regular school day. They have one Saturday, but in 2024 they're going to have two Saturdays because some holiday falls on one of the Saturdays that it would normally be given. Okay. All right. Next thing about the PSAT. Yep, you got to get that edge. Okay, so there was, I think I've covered just about everything that I wanted to. Oh, how high do you have to score? Kind of save this for last. You have to be in the top 1% of scores in your state, not over the whole country, just in your state. Okay. So the scores range, I think the top score that you can make is like 15, 20. Um, but, usually the top 1% is between 1470 and the 1520. So those are the scores that you kind of want to aim for when you're doing the practice test. Okay. And then, it could be less than that, depending on, how smart the kids are in your state, or how many of them actually went through one of those training sessions or study test prep sessions. So there is a fee. There is a fee. It's $18. But guess what? You may qualify for your school to get a waiver for you. So that's something that you can ask the counselor if you can get a waiver, because they do give waivers if there is a need. Okay. Now, let's just go back over for a brief synopsis of what I've told you so far. First of all, the PSAT does not count towards college admissions. The SAT and the ACT test scores count towards college admission. The PSAT is a preliminary SAT test that shows you how well you will do on the SAT in most cases. However, one of the things that people do not tell you is that the second part of that PSAT is the NMSQT, which stands for National Merit Scholar Qualifying Test. And this is the only time that you can qualify for this scholarship, and it is in the 11th grade. Okay. Um, the top 1% of people in your state will get qualified to apply for this scholarship. Okay. Then how do you get in the top 1%? You're going to get in the top 1% and increase your scores by studying how to take the test. And you can do that with several books, but the one that I have experience with is the Princeton Review for the PSAT. Okay. And then, okay, uh, Ashley asked me a question. How do you actually become a National Merit Scholar? Okay, I'm glad you asked. That was the next thing. Okay, so we've gone over the things on how you're going to qualify. Okay, now, once you qualify, you have to apply for the scholarship. Okay, so once you qualify, you are considered a semifinalist. Okay, once you apply, okay, you have to fill out the application, which includes writing an essay. Then, and very important, on that application, you have to put one of the sponsoring schools, one of the sponsoring colleges. Remember, I said there are like at least 22 colleges that will give you a full ride, and then there are numerous others that will pay for tuition only. So, once you look through that list of colleges, then you have to put one of those colleges down on your application. You can't put undecided, because if you put undecided, then they'll just, kick your application out. So you did all of that hard work for nothing. So you have to go to one of the colleges that sponsors a full scholarship or tuition being paid. Okay, so that's one thing that is key about the application. And you write your essay, and then the next thing, you have to get an endorsement. So you have to get a letter from the principal. So what does this mean? This means that you have to have a relationship with your principal. Okay, and this may be hard for big schools, but you still need to get a some type of endorsement or letter from them. So it would be good if you have not already, during your 11th grade year, that you do some things where the principal will notice that you are a good student and that you are a leader and that you are a community person, that you are a peacemaker. Anything good that you can portray to your principal, you need to do that so that you'll get a good letter of endorsement from them. Then you do have to score comparably on the SAT or the ACT. Okay. You have to maintain good grades, and you have to be enrolled in your final year of high school to be able to get the scholarship, and plan to enroll into a college the following fall. And the last thing is you have to be a citizen. Okay, so once you get all of this in the application in, then you will be notified if they need extra documentation, and you'll be notified if you get the scholarship. Okay, now the scholarship from the National Merit, for the National Merit Scholarship, that scholarship is only $2,500. Okay, and you say that's not much, but it's not just that scholarship, it's the scholarship that you're going to get from the sponsor, from the college that acknowledges the finalist. Okay, so that's how the PSAT and the NMSQT works. So any questions? Let me read these comments and see if I covered everything. All right. Andre, did you find the book? All right. Okay, well, this concludes our live, and I hope I've given you some good information, and that you get started on this. And again, it's never too early to start. You start in the ninth grade, you can actually start preparing for this in the eighth grade. But if you're a rising 11th grader, you need to get this book immediately and get started. Okay, thank you. Okay, bye. All right. I don't know what I'm doing.